Hello and welcome to Media Monitor on the SABC News Channel, independent and impartial. This is where we take a look inside the world of media, analysing the trends, the issues and sometimes the reporting of the week's top stories. I'm Pirendoro and this is what's coming up on the show today. We'll be exploring the many new ways news is now being distributed to audiences. With the advent of social media and smartphones, platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp and YouTube have created a number of new mediapreneurs, and we catch up with two of them, one here in South Africa and another one in Zimbabwe. Now, with the digital disruption, citizen journalism has grown exponentially. Sadly, though, not always with the best consequences, as many don't even know or realize that they are doing this form of journalism. We find out what some of these consequences are and what should be done to make sure that citizen reporting is seen without hurting anyone. In our News and History feature this week, we take you back to 1996, and that's the year we first celebrated Heritage Day. So that's the show, but remember, you can always engage with us on social media using the Twitter handle, #SABC Media Monitor. And also, you can share your views with us on our WhatsApp number, and that's 065 862 4548. That's 065 862 4548. Right, before we get into those highlighted stories on the program, let's first take a look at what's on the front pages of our Sunday newspapers this morning, because most of you get your media there, don't you? Newspapers and social media. But let's start with the newspapers, and we start with the Sunday Times, which leads with this tragic story of a leading detective who was assassinated in the Western Cape. Police have unleashed an intense operation across Cape Town to trace the three hitmen that were seen on security camera footage running away from the scene of Colonel Charles Kinnear's murder outside his home on Friday. Questions, though, have been raised by, amongst others, the police minister as to why Kinnear's protection had been withdrawn. The City Press leads with what it's calling the corrupt list, referring to those accused of wrongdoing in a list of names submitted to the ANC. Well, they're refusing to step aside, deciding instead to take legal action against the party. So that cleanup campaign struggling a little bit. The Sunday Independent, well, that top story refers to COSATU and the South African Communist Party accusing Limpopo Premier Stan Matabata of failing to fight corruption in the province and ceding power to a faction. The two bodies are demanding that he steps down. The Sunday Tribune's headline reads that South Africa needs to get used to the new normal as the country moves to alert level 1. This will happen tonight at midnight. Despite having weathered a COVID-19 storm, there's still a threat of a second wave of infection if people don't adhere to the precautions that are needed. The Weekend Argus on Sunday, good to see that paper back. Well, that sees union calls for the removal of UCT Vice-Chancellor Mamkgethi Phakeng. The country's largest public sector union wants her fired for being silent on fresh allegations of racism and bullying at the Red Cross War Memorial Children's Hospital. And this is a training hospital for UCT. Now have questioned Phakeng's perceived silence on racism and sexism taking place. And the Sunday World is leading with socialite Khanyimbau, who looks like she may have run herself into a bit of financial problems trying to keep up her bling lifestyle. The paper's reporting that Standard Bank is demanding that she surrender a Porsche and a Merc. She says, though, it's all a misunderstanding between her and a lender. All right, so those are your newspapers. Let's take a look at some of the issues that are playing out on social media. Twitter, to be specific. This is what is trending, and that's the list for this week. The Sacred Space is always there. It's a program on Radio Metro and very popular with people. Sunday Feels is another one that people just share their thoughts and feel blessed on a Sunday. The one I'm picking up, though, is number 4, and that's Becky Trele, who's been on a mission going around making sure that things are as they should be. And a lot of people are saying, but hang on, Sunnyside, Hillbrow, Kempton Park, Joburg CBD, it didn't become criminal hotspots overnight. It wasn't always like this. Where was the police when crime slowly took over these metros? Where was the energy Begitele had on alcohol during level 5 lockdown? So people are saying that all these missions that he has patrolling in various areas are great, but he should have had the same energy that he had with alcohol on level 5 on dealing with the hotspots. Malum Sizwe says, I saw like 15 police vehicles, Veshaya e convoy earlier at Togoza. That's good, I guess, but why can't you all put the same energy into Hillbrow, Rosettenville, and so on? All right, so that's what's trending on social media as of a short while ago. We have a lot to come, so fasten your seatbelts. Coming up, we start taking a look at unconventional ways to distribute news. Welcome back. You're still watching Media Monitor. Now, mass media has always been a contested space, even though the number of players was always limited because of the massive investments usually required. But the digital era has brought with it huge disruption, and now reaching mass audiences is no longer the preserve of traditional and established media. Social media platforms have become a new and unfettered source of news and entertainment. This has seen the emergence of many new mediapreneurs creating their own channels and media outlets. You can see the new formats on spaces like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, amongst others. And now even the messaging app WhatsApp is being used as a platform to disseminate news to audiences even beyond borders. Well, today we're going to be speaking to two such new mediapreneurs. One is the founder of Facebook anchored Captain SABC Livuo Online TV. And just before I introduce the other one, we caught up with some of the channel's viewers to find out why they are subscribers.
What do I like about SABC is that his heart, his humanity, like he can touch someone's heart by giving something, like for instance, food, clothes, a house. So that thing is so touching. So we learn humanity, we learn to give, we learn to share what we have from the small we have. So that's what I like about him, and we really love him. I thank you.
Hi, I'm Marco Kamatozi. What I've learned about Captain SABC Livu is you don't have to be a millionaire to help other people. Livu ndi muthu ane wa hustler. Livu haedeli. Livu ndi go-getter. And then even if ana offer a plate ya vuswa xifazwa ndiyo pedzisela mudini wawe uyang'watela vamwe vathu asala ene offer xithu xitukutuku. Then Livu is my role model.
Now, like many other countries in the world, newspaper circulation is down in Zimbabwe. The media there has other problems too, but the largest daily newspaper there now sells less than 12,000 copies a day. So, where do the 16 million people in the country get credible news? Well, one source is a WhatsApp publication called Kukurigo. It seems to have taken off as it now reaches in excess of 370,000 daily readers, far eclipsing all the print newspapers put together. Here's what some of their readers had to say about the WhatsApp news service.
Kukurigo has helped me a lot in terms of uncovering what is evil in our society and how to pray for it. I'm really grateful for that. It is also shown it is balanced and it presents news in a way that is responsible. It's not inflammatory. It adheres to the ethics of reporting. So I'm really grateful, and that it continues to give us really what is taking place in our country in a way that helps us to see what needs to be corrected, what needs to be healed. I really have benefited a lot as a practitioner. Because I'm a practitioner, I pray for my country. Thank you so much for this service.
Kukurigo I think it's the best, because some of the news we receive through this platform is the best. We won't receive this type of news through our radios or platforms, but Kukurigo, you are there to give us something which is hidden behind us.
I like Kukuriko because it gives us prompt news and correct news at the right time. We are very, very informed, and we trust the news that you give us, and you tell us exactly what is happening. You're telling it as it is. Thank you so much. Keep it up.
I'm Ronald. Yeah, I like Kukurigo. I think it's very useful. It's keeping us readers well informed at an affordable cost. At the same time, if you are searching for products to purchase, I've seen some adverts which are also useful.
All right, so there's some happy viewers and happy readers there in South Africa and Zimbabwe. Well, let's talk to these new age mediapreneurs. Dibuwani Madadze, who's also known as SABC Dibuwa in the entertainment industry. He founded Captain SABC Dibuwa Online TV, which you can find on Facebook. And we also have Edmund Kudzai, an investigative journalist and editor of Kukurigo, the WhatsApp news service based in Zimbabwe. Gentlemen, to both of you, a very good morning. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Morning, Peter. Thank you for having me.
All right, SABC Dibuwa, let's start with you because I think a lot of people recognize you as a comedian. They don't know that you're also an entrepreneur. But let's start with your Facebook online TV channel. What inspired you to start that?
What inspired me to start that is that ndimtu wenda lwesangamanda ndichifuna media. So ufuna anga media saizvizvo vatu vachidinyaza suzva vatu vokuchikodzilingedzo umbera pano napalore vauvhurere zvikara zvavazvikobhara mara ndaguma ndonoto nditomera online channel yanga ine yavori it's working for me ikonchumera ngamani.
All right, and you've managed to get quite a number of viewers already. What is on this website that people like?
What people like about my channel is that I bring them the local content. Content ineva tubaba kotodo payone, ineva relate nayo, and then divandichi kubapa mapungo maswa ane abori awa asa tusika fetu. Achisala achia umwe. I'm the one to give them that fresh news from the ground.
Okay, all right. We'll get into that a little bit more. Let's cross the border and go to Zimbabwe. And Edmund, you were an editor one time of a traditional newspaper. Tell us about What's Up, this news platform. What got you to think about using What's Up? I mean, this is very new age. Edmund, can you hear us?
Well, it was somewhat inadvertent. Yes, I can hear you clearly. It was somewhat inadvertent. We didn't set out to create a WhatsApp news service. Initially, we'd done it as an Android and an iOS application. But then about that time, some data from the Postal and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority came out. Numbers of people who are using WhatsApp off the charts. Now, at present, we have about 6 million people who are using WhatsApp in Zimbabwe, which gives them access to audio, to video, to text, to PDF, and so on. And you compare that's more than the number of radios and televisions in the country. And as mentioned in your introduction, we're at a place where the largest daily newspaper, which is the Herald, is struggling to sell 12,000 copies a day. And that's being generous partly because of the state of the economy. So people are not getting their news from the newspapers, and the best place to run a newspaper, it became clear to us at the time, was in WhatsApp. So just before deployment. We then dropped, this is in 2018, we then dropped during the election, which was the best time to start the project. Because you sort of had a captive audience which wanted credible information on lectures. So we dropped Android and iOS applications and then jumped straight into WhatsApp, which was in August of 2018.
All right, so people can get their news every morning, updates. How do you make money, though? I mean, you've got 370,000 subscribers. One would think that advertisers are chasing you.
Well, no, actually, quite the contrary. Well, we haven't really made any money yet, and we don't anticipate that we'll make money anytime soon. We're sort of taking the medium-term view, which is that we have a growing readership which trusts the news that we provide. And there are multiple ways that can be monetized in the years to come. The advertisers have not come for two reasons, I suspect. The first is that most of the marketing executives aren't exactly people my age who sort of see it the way that we see it. So these are guys who cut their teeth when print was gold and children sat excitedly around the radio. So if they sort of hear about an advertising opportunity on WhatsApp, they sort of chuckle and laugh that, oh, why would I want to advertise on WhatsApp? But we certainly have the eyeballs. We get some advertising revenue. We run some services within WhatsApp for utilities and so on, which pays some of the bills. But we don't anticipate to be earning any serious revenue, at least not in the next 12 months.
All right, and the politics don't help, I guess.
Oh, yes. Well, the politics actually, because we've had two fairly large companies that came on to Kukurigo to advertise, and they then suddenly pulled out, despite having previously been singing the praises of how effective the service was. So eventually, one of the executives in the company told one of my colleagues, Farai Machamire, who's the sport editor, that look, we really love the service, but there's been an intervention by the system. So somebody probably phoned and discouraged them or persuaded them otherwise. But it's not a major problem to us because the advertising is never really going to be the central source of revenue. So I suppose we can plod along for a few months until we get other things going on.
All right, so the truth hurts, it seems. Let's come back to Limpopo. Devor, I just wonder, how do you make money on a platform like yours?
On my channel here, we generate money through advertisement and sponsors. Currently, when I'm talking to you, I get an endorsement of a car, the Audi. Right now, I'm driving an Audi, which I've got an endorsement from Enrand Insurance. So we generate money through adverts and sponsors. Some of our adverts are linked to Parapara FM SABC. Every day, our advert play on Parapara SABC, where the clients come to our online channel, and then they request an online marketing, including a radio. So our clients, we join them with any radio that they want. Currently, we are having lots of adverts with Parapara FM. That's how we generate our income, and through sponsors.
All right. And your operation, is it production intensive? Have you got a lot of people shooting things for you? How have you set yourself up?
Currently, we don't have equipment. We are using phones to capture each and every content that we upload online there on our Facebook page, Captain SABC Rivo Online TV, and Instagram, YouTube, and on Twitter. Currently, when I'm talking to you right now, we are also live there on our channel. We are using phones. We don't have the equipment currently, but we'll be glad if maybe one of our business around maybe can do something about it and assist our dream. Because we have lots of plan and lots of dreams, because currently when I'm talking to you, my online channel is able to donate 2 houses to the community. This year we have managed to donate 3 houses from different families, whereby we went out and see the situation or the condition of the family where they stay in, and then we asked the sponsors to pop in to build the house. Currently, we have 3 houses which we are building around the community. When it comes to the issue of food parcels, we have a lot of sponsors, including Chief Libwani Matsila is the one who pushes us in this thing of food parcel, where we give different communities the food parcels and a lot of things. Each and every year, when school reopened, we went to different schools. We have the shoe campaign whereby we donate thousands and thousands of shoes to different schools. But currently, we are achieving those things because of the support that we are getting from the local support from local businesses and my followers for the TWT.
All right, so local is lekker for you. That's what seems to be the formula. Edmund, let me come back to you. Do you know who your subscribers are? Do you have any idea who they are? And, you know, what's the makeup? Is it adults? Is it male? Is it mature? Who's tuning in?
My channel.
No, this is for Edmund. Hang on, this is for Edmund in Zimbabwe.
Really
Yes, yes, Edmund.
Yes, it really is a mixed bag because the nature of content on WhatsApp is a very strong forwarding culture. So there isn't a paywall. So you find that you have students, you have home keepers on it, you have middle-level managers, and you've got cabinet ministers who are using phones that wouldn't show the actual phone number. And I know one permanent secretary is on the platform. So it really is a mixed bag, and you can sort of tell that from the engagements. One person is complaining about the Zupco bus service and asking you to write about how they're being forced to buy tickets or tap cards from, that there's a conspiracy to buy tap cards from vendors. And the other person is sort of asking about the latest monetary policy statement. So it's quite a mixed bag, but there's no interaction within the platform. So it's just one way, sort of like a newspaper that's being printed digitally. So these groups don't allow you to comment. So that sort of helps because a lot of people are averse to being in groups which are chatty.
We're running out of time, but we're running out of time. But my last question.
That's sort of.
Yeah, we're running out of time. But my last question is: I guess what this has taught us is the content is always going to be what's key. How you distribute it and disseminate it is what's changing with technology.
Yes, no, I completely agree with you. What matters is the content, and if the content is strong enough, you could just have one group of 256 people, and it would take a life of its own. So the real game is not so much in the distribution. You could run this on Twitter or on Facebook and not have to invest in a website. But as long as you have the strong content, it will take a life of its own. So it's a lot cheaper to do this now than it was some years ago, where you'd have to get out a printing press. Now it's much easier with these new technologies. As long as you have strong content, you have a very large audience.
Okay, and then final question to you, Divor. Are you going to be bigger than the SABC?
No, I'm not going to be bigger than the SABC. The matter is to deliver services to the community. There is a lot of fish in the sea, so there is no way.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us and giving us an insight into different ways of distributing news and entertainment and reaching audiences in the way that they need. Thanks so much indeed to both of you.
Thank you so much, SABC, for hosting SABC Live on SABC.
Great, fantastic. Lovely chatting to those two gentlemen. So there you have it. Different types of media now. It's no longer just us here at the SABC, but YouTubers, TikTokers, WhatsAppers, Facebookers, setting up channels and setting up these distribution points. And it's really about content. And we certainly hope that you're enjoying our content enough to join us again after the break. Now, as we just saw before the break, social media has changed the way that people consume news, where in the past audiences could only receive news from newspapers, radio or television. Well, nowadays, with the help of the internet, people can get instant information from news applications, subscribe, email, as well as social media. This evolution of technology has now allowed anyone with a cell phone, computer, tablets, voice recorders and any other portable device to play an active role in the processing of collecting and reporting, analyzing and disseminating news and information. Sometimes they don't even realize that they're doing it. Well, for more on citizen journalism, its role in society and rules and regulations, we're joined by two people, King Chauke from Kincha Media and a broadcast specialist lecturer at the Tshamano University of Technology, Tshamano Makhadi. Let's start by greeting you, gentlemen. Welcome. But let me start with you, Tshamano. A lot of people don't realize, actually, that every time that they retweet a news item, they're actually publishing. This is citizen journalism. And when they write about something that's happening around them, this is citizen journalism. But sadly, it has had some poor consequences because of that. Tell us about some of the things that you've been concerned with as you've been watching this unfold.
No, thank you so much, Peter, and good morning to you and all the viewers. Yes, citizen journalism plays an important role, but at the same time, as traditional media, we have been experiencing a couple of problems or challenges here and there by means of having, some of the content or information having been distorted. So, yes, there are problems, like you rightfully say. I mean, sometimes you have a situation where stories, sometimes even in mainstream, they get to be up there without having been verified. Sometimes coming from citizens themselves, but it is always important, whether it is done by a media house or whether individuals, it is always important to ensure that the facts of that particular story have been certainly verified.
All right. And I guess one of the things that if you are doing citizen media is there are no filters. No one checks what you're doing. And so you may cross lines that you don't even realize that you're crossing, particularly when it comes to sensitive issues like the dignity of a person.
No, that's correct. And these things happen so quick. But by the time you realize it, you actually learn that a big mistake has been made, and sometimes it's issues that involve other people's lives. It might be their career, it might be their health. There are a number of issues that are involved. So I will always caution that whenever it's done, it must be verified. It must be done with caution, and we can all understand that we're living in new times where it's sort of different from where we were probably a few years back, where ordinary folks, they can simply share information, but in doing so, it is always important that you verify whatever you want to share on the different media, social media platforms, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook, but it is quite important that, that is always double checked.
All right. Well, let's talk to someone who's been in the media business for a while, but occasionally tweets on social media and therefore is a citizen journalist. King Chauke, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. You've tweeted something recently on social media, and it was the case of I think 2 boys in a classroom, and one was bullying the other. What moved you to post that? Because you did get some feedback from some people as well, didn't you?
I did. Good morning, Peter, and good morning to all the viewers. Definitely, I did get some feedback from different people. Some were threats to say I must delete the video. But above all, it was the reach of the Department of Basic Education to say, can we help them as well to trace the school and the perpetrator? Just to answer your second question, why we posted the video, I saw it trending on WhatsApps and other platforms, and I kept on investigating to see, does the department know about it? And we found that the department didn't know about it. But at the same time, the people that had that information were withholding the information. So we decided to go on a social media platform to say, can you help the police trace this perpetrator? To me, it was a criminal element.
All right. So there are some things that I guess you have to consider, and sometimes people don't. Did you stop for a moment and think, okay, these kids are schoolgoers, they're underage, should I still post this? Is this something that as retweeters we need to think about more?
Peter, you remember crime is a crime. And before even thinking about these are young boys that are still school going, it was a crime. And that crime needed to be brought to light. Whether the platform was right or not, we were not getting the information. And if you look at my tweet, it was to say, please help get this perpetrator to prison. To me, it was just another way of saying, let's get this to the fore.
All right. So, look, we're not pointing fingers at you, but I'm just now asking you to put on the hat of maybe other tweets that you've seen online. I saw one recently of a young girl who was being bullied by another girl, but in this one, it was a bit more graphic, and I felt that by retweeting that video, she was suffering twice. First, by the perpetrator, and then secondly, having her dignity removed because her panties were being pulled away from her. And I just wonder, what are your thoughts about when it starts to get into compromising somebody's dignity? Should we, as retweeters, think about that?
Unfortunately, Peter, you have got different people that retweet video. Some it in a funny way, not sensitizing the matter that you're trying to raise. If you see the people that we also tagged, it was the police and the Department of Higher Education, meaning that our aim was to get the boy being bullied help.
All right. Tshamano, you've heard King Chauke there. A crime was being committed. And he says that he was trying to alert the authorities, and so it was all with good intention. The other video for me was quite disturbing. I don't know if you saw the schoolgirl that was being bullied by another schoolgirl. I thought that that should not have been shown, and as a news broadcaster, we probably would not have shown that. How do we manage this going forward? Because people a lot of times are just tweeting so that they can get followers.
Yeah, so Peter, thanks. And I know that it's a tough balancing act, but maybe just going back to what King refers to. So you have a situation where you simply just want to put a matter to the fore. Now, in some cases, it may include kids. So how do you go about it? But let me just deal with the first point. And I'm almost reminded of the case of police brutality. I mean, we've seen a whole lot of them, but let me just point one. Mido Masia. A story like that, had it not been for somebody who filmed that happening and ultimately putting it either on social media, surely the public was never going to know about something like that. So, of course, it will always boil down to the intention. What is it that you want to achieve? So listening to King and everything that he said, so I guess it was a case of trying to get the attention of basic education as well as the police. If it was not because of that, surely nothing was going to be done about it. But yes, there is also an issue which you are raising, and I agree, the dignity of a person. So I think what is more important and what I'm taking out of this conversation is that as tweeters, as people that always share information, let us be cautious of what we tweet about in the case of Twitter. So whatever social media platform, let us be cautious of the information we're putting out there. The dignity of other people still matters the most. But as I said, I mean, it's a tough balancing. But one way or the other, we have to find that one.
So what I know for sure is that there are laws in place about what you can show, what you can't show, and people don't realize that when you retweet, it doesn't matter whether you weren't the originator, you become an accessory to that. Do you think, and this is a question for both of you, that greater education needs to happen to warn people, because they can get prosecuted just for retweeting something that they may not have originated? King Chauke, your thoughts?
Very true, Peter. It goes down to what are your intentions when you retweeted the video. And also be cautious of the comments that you're going to put on the video. It reminds me of one of the videos that I'm in possession of a young girl that was stripped naked from school, beaten and made to drink her own urine. I can't share such content. But at the same time, you have to understand what I'm doing with such content. So it is a warning to Twitter users or even social media users. The information that you are disseminating can incriminate you, even though you did not participate in the crime.
All right. Gentlemen, unfortunately, we've run out of time. Tshamano, we're going to speak to you again a little bit later on when we review the newspapers, so stay with us. But King Chauke, thanks so much indeed for giving us another perspective on this weighty issue of when to tweet and retweet. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, okay. So we'll see Tshamano again a little bit later on in the program, and our thanks to King Chauke there sharing his thoughts with us. Now, Algerian journalist Khalid Drareni received a 2-year prison term at his appeal hearing on Tuesday this week in a trial rights groups have called a test of press freedom in a country recently rocked by anti-government protests. Drareni, who's 40, is an editor at the Casbah Tribune news site and a news correspondent for French language channel TV5 Monde. He had been sentenced to 3 years in jail in August for his coverage of Algeria's anti-government protests. Well, the journalist was arrested on March the 29th on charges of inciting an unarmed gathering and endangering national unity after covering these demonstrations, the Hirak protest movement. Francois Lendo, the manager of local radio Losanganyana, was arrested on the 15th of September on his way to attending a meeting of the Congolese Journalists Union. Lendo, who's still being held, was arrested on a complaint brought against him by Joseph Stefan Mukumadi, who is holding on to the post of Sankuru governor, although the Provincial Assembly voted to remove him from this position and no longer regards him as legitimate. All right, so we bring you those stories every week just to give you an idea of some of the challenges that journalists across the continent are facing in just doing their jobs. All right, now this week on the 24th of September, South Africa will be celebrating Heritage Day, and this, as you know by now, is an annual holiday where South Africans are encouraged to celebrate their culture and the diversity of their beliefs and traditions. It was first celebrated as Heritage Day in 1996, and we take you back to that day. And this is how the SABC covered the story.
Elizabeth Park in Braamfontein, Johannesburg, has been renamed after Enoch Sontonga, composer of Nkosi Sikeleli Africa. He was honored during Heritage Day celebrations attended by President Nelson Mandela.
The hymn is one of the most recognized in Africa, but not that much is known about its composer. What has finally become known is that Enoch Mankai Sontonga was buried at the Braamfontein Cemetery in 1905. Finding his grave wasn't easy. Entries in the cemetery archives were crude. Archaeological excavations eventually determined the final resting place of the author and composer. Today, it became a national monument. Sontonga was also posthumously honored with the Order of Merit, which was received by his granddaughter. President Mandela then shook hands with each and every member of the choir and orchestra who provided the essential music of the day. But some journalists had to battle to get the president's personal comments about the new national anthem.
I'm going to make a formal complaint to the president's office because that is unacceptable. On that side of the flowers, please. You as well. Thank you.
It is one of the most powerful instruments to bring about a United Nations. And it also says, let us forget the past. Let us think of the present and the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
The old showground road, which runs past Braamfontein Cemetery, has now become Enoch Sontonga Avenue, in memory of a previously unproclaimed national hero. Jessica Pitchford, SABC, Johannesburg.
Today marked a special Heritage Day in KwaZulu-Natal as well. For the first time in the province, people from different cultural backgrounds celebrated the day together. Despite a poor turnout earlier in the day, by midday it was a spectacular show of dance, song and traditional dress. Outside the stadium, security was on full alert. More than 400 policemen, army platoons and members of the Internal Stability Unit monitored proceedings. Most people heeded the ban on dangerous weapons. Party politics and ideological differences were forgotten as KwaZulu-Natal Premier Dr. Frank Mdlalose set the tone of the day. He warmly welcomed Zulu King Goodwill Zwelithini, showing little signs of recent tensions between them.
We are aware that cultural and religious differences could bring citizens in a state of collision and destabilization. If there are any among us who show traces of cultural and religious arrogance, this must stop because that will draw greater fire and destabilize our country.
The Zulu monarch praised Dr. Mdlalose and ANC provincial leader Jacob Zuma for their dedication to peace and stability.
We need to join hands and fight crime. We cannot be held ransom by the criminals. Isolate criminals in your homes. Isolate them in your businesses and in your communities.
All the leaders stressed the need for cultural education amongst the people of the country. The celebrations ended peacefully. Tutum Somi, SABC Durban.
Welcome back. It's time now to take a look at what's been on our front pages of our Sunday newspapers here in South Africa. And we're joined once again by Tshamano Makhadi, who's a broadcast specialist lecturer at the Tshamano University of Technology, himself a long-time media practitioner. Tshamano, thanks very much again for joining us. Let's take a look at these newspapers. And I know that the City Press caught your attention straight away. Why was that?
That's right, Peter. The City Press caught my attention with their story, which is on the front page, with the headline, "Corrupt List, the cadres rejected." So here is a story that it's mainly coming from the ranks of the ANC. The NEC, a few weeks back, as you would recall, there was this suggestion that members that might somehow be implicated, they may have to step aside from their position, especially those that are holding public offices. So we see a situation here where some members, leaders, in the different provinces, in this case, Northern Cape and MEC, who is basically saying, I am not going to go down without a fight. I am simply going to challenge this in legal terms. So basically the MEC is arguing the fact that the process or the procedure seem to be unfair and unprocedural. So we are they're definitely just going to watch and see how the ANC is going to manage this one. We know for a fact that when President Cyril Ramaphosa came to office, he came on the card of fighting corruption. So easy going to win this one, but I guess one to watch, really.
And it is a difficult one, isn't it? Because you've got, on the one hand, an integrity commission, which is an internal party process, and that works not necessarily on the law by the name of its, by the fact of its name, integrity. It's bringing the party into disrepute and so on and so forth. And then the party can make decisions about its own members. And I also believe that the people are deployed by the party at the party's behest, and so in theory they should be able to withdraw their services as well. But it seems as if the other sort of law that we are subjected to, proven you're innocent until proven guilty, should be the thing that protects you. So it's a bit of a conundrum, but it's a problem for the party because local government elections are coming up, and the voters are watching this and making up their minds. If they think someone's corrupt and he's allowed to carry on working, it's a problem.
Certainly a conundrum, Peter, because like you rightfully pointed out, on the one hand, you are expected to, you are either guilty until, proven so. So what happens in a situation where these are still allegations? As a party, do you say, step aside? Do you ask somebody to resign? What do you do? And that's exactly the situation at hand here, where somebody is basically saying, but I have not been proven guilty by the court of law, except to say these are, reports that are playing out in the media space. On the one hand, you have the public that have certain expectations about, leaders. So you are right as well to say you have the elections that are coming up. There are people that want to really see, the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa taking action and not just talk about some of these things. So what do you do? It's certainly a conundrum. I guess one which is really difficult for the ruling party, if I may put it so, Peter.
All right, okay. I know one story that you haven't seen because the Sunday Tribune is a Durban newspaper, but I think one that we can talk about is their headline story is South Africa needs to get used to the new normal as the alert level goes to 1 at midnight. And there is a great fear of a second wave. We've seen it in Europe, we've seen it in America, where there was an easing of the lockdown restrictions and people didn't carry on doing the things like wearing masks, social distancing, and then there was a second wave. And there is a concern that we might see that here in this country.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a challenge. Obviously, as we all know, I mean, as of tomorrow, should I say midnight, we are going on alert level 1. So I think the emphasis, what we need to get to, the masses here, Peter, is that people must always keep in mind that coronavirus is still very much with us. Yes, indeed, the situation is better compared to where we're coming from, and I mean 6 months ago. So what I think is very important is also to draw lessons from some of those countries that have faced, a situation where this thing all of a sudden sort of resurfaced. Yeah. So we must continue to wear those masks. We must continue to take care of ourselves.
All right. And with that, I'll say to you, take care of yourself, and we chat again soon. Thanks so much indeed, my dear brother.
Thank you very much indeed, Peter.
All right. Okay. So that's how we come to the end of the program. Thanks very much indeed for tuning in. It was great having you. And join us again next week at the same time. But remember, it's level 1, yes, but we really have to be even more careful now. And one of those things is wearing a mask. Take care. Bye-bye.